morning, everyone. It is morning coffee. I am your host, Brooke Carlock, and I have a super special guest for us today that finally made it here. After 2 attempts. We have my son, Grayson, who is going to talk to us about his grief experience today. So thank you so much for being here. Seriously, absolutely. I appreciate it. Okay, so first on morning coffee, we ask people what they're drinking. So if you want to drop in the comments, what are you drinking this morning? Are you having coffee? Are you having disgusting tea?
Straight milk.
Grayson is drinking just milk, plain old milk.
Strong bones.
And yes, it does give you strong bones. Mm. All right. And then, my typical morning coffee with peppermint and chocolate in it because I can't drink straight coffee. All right, you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yucky tea. Yep. Yeah. I know. I don't get it. I don't get the tea. I've tried like literally every kind of tea that I could try, and I just have never found one that I actually like.
I'm a big tea guy.
You are a tea guy. What kind of teas do you drink?
I like green teas primarily.
Green teas.
Rooibos, those are good. I don't know. You gotta dig the earthy flavors. You gotta embrace it.
Oh, look. We've got a fan club already. Such a handsome dude. I know he is. He is my handsome boy. Okay, so ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
Okay, so if you have followed me for any length of time, you know that I have lost a lot of people, but most importantly, my 10-year-old daughter, Libby, died in a car accident. So that is Grayson's sister, obviously. So we're going to be primarily focusing on Libby's death, even though, I mean, technically you did lose like grandparents.
Grandpa, yeah.
You lost. Sometimes we forget that with our kids. Like I realize I lost my parents, but then I forget the fact that you lost all of your grandparents as well in like one fell swoop there. And
it was a quick little year there.
It was a rough couple months, man. Yeah. So we have throw up the comments. Thank you guys for chatting. I always love it when people are chatting. So good morning. Always coffee for me. Yes.
Nice to see you as well.
All right. So let's get started. I guess let's just start a little bit. And again, I'm going to throw stuff out, and anything that you're not comfortable sharing is totally fine.
Of course.
Anything you want to share is fine. Things are super cash here. So yeah, if you don't want to talk about something, just let me know. But why don't we just start out kind of talking about Libby? I gush about Libby and how amazing she was all the time, but you know, you might have had a different perspective as a brother. So
a little bit.
What do you share to me about Libby? What she meant to you? What you remember about her?
Well, I remember when I first found out I was going to have a sister, I cried under the table at Hoss's for a long time. Salad bar didn't fix things. I was upset at first. I was very upset.
How old were you when we told you that? So she's 6 years younger than you. So you were about 6.
Yeah, I was 6 years old.
And we took them to Hoss's restaurant we thought they were going to be excited, but nope.
No, I wanted all that attention.
Yes.
But yeah, initially I was upset. I was very upset about it.
His exact words were,
You
ruined my life.
I did say
he
that.
He climbed under the table and said, "You ruined my life." All right.
Yeah. As I got older, I got to appreciate her a little more. Not as much as I probably should have. I could have, but as I just got older, I was able to see the impact she had on people, the influence she had, everyone who ever met her. I can't think of a single person who didn't like her. But, I was a brother. I was a little older than her, age gap. And so I wasn't really trying to hang out as much, as I could have. And so, yeah.
Yeah, which I think, is that hard for you to think about?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
You didn't appreciate her as much as maybe you should have? Do you understand that that's a normal
Yes.
teenage brother sister
Yes,
thing.
I've grasped that. I have friends with siblings and everything.
Yeah.
I've seen the way they interact. My whole kind of perspective on it for a while was I'm gonna wait until she's a little older and a little cooler, and then we're gonna hang out and stuff, you know. But I lost that chance, and that definitely was eye-opening in appreciating what you have, who you love now.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, because I often think about that. I don't know if you remember, but like
there was a day or two after I was feeling, it definitely was very guilty about how I treated her and stuff. I could have been a lot nicer, but I don't know, we all make mistakes, and it wasn't. I didn't know. I couldn't have known.
No, there was no way.
And
none of
so,
us could have known. And that's the thing. Like I think that's what we have to remember is that, like, you know, when she was growing up, you were in like your preteen and teen years.
Yeah, no, we didn't match up.
And it's, you know, and she was so much younger than you that it probably was like, oh, the annoying little sister. And I remember you used to make fun of her all the time for like, was it you that started the barnacle thing? I don't know. It was one of like, but you were constantly like, oh my gosh, how can you stand it? She's with you all the time.
At the hip. Sewn on.
She's like constantly there, which is like why it's so hard for me, because she was constant, and like you witnessed that. It was like she was, man.
You were running around all day for it.
Suction cup to my side, you know. Yeah. But it was a very different experience for you. But you guys had your moments. Do you have any?
Absolutely. I don't want to make it seem like I didn't.
Yeah. Are there any
or whatnot? There were obviously times where showed great love. You know, I could appreciate her.
Are there any that stick out to you? Like any positive or like funny memories? Like what are some? Do you have any like good memories that stick out of like moments or?
So one that I still look at, I have it saved on my phone, is our Florida trip. A couple of years ago, and I have a video of her. We were playing Truth or Dare as a group in the family, and we made this pretty foul concoction of, you know, soy sauce, all the condiments in the fridge and whatnot. And I have a video of her taking a sip of that and then freaking out about it. And it's just, I don't know. She's wearing my shirt in it. We switched shirts. That was one of the dares earlier. There's just a lot of story behind it. It's a good moment for me.
I have to see that.
I'll show it to you after.
I'm gonna cry, but that's all right. It's all right. I want to see it. Okay, so let's go back to kind of describe. And again, anything, if you don't want to talk about any of this, that's fine. But can you describe for everyone kind of how you found out about what happened to Libby and kind of what you were feeling when that happened?
Yeah. So. I was at work. I worked at Sonic, the fast food place, at the time, and they had actually just dropped me off for a shift. And so my brother was driving, Libby in the passenger seat. I had actually just gotten out probably 20 minutes beforehand, and gone to my job. So I was there just doing my shift, flipping burgers, doing my thing. And then my uncle came into the store and said, hey, like, you're done. You got to go. I was really confused at first. I didn't know. I thought I was in trouble for something. And he took me over to the side of the building, and he told me, your siblings were in an accident. Max is okay. And he didn't mention Libby at first, and so I had to ask about it. And he said that he didn't think she was doing all right. And immediately, you know, tears started flowing. I was upset. I tried to hold it together a little bit. I waved bye to my coworkers. I had some friends visiting me at work there. I waved to them, said goodbye. And then we went straight to the hospital. I heard you on the phone. That was probably one of the toughest things I've had to deal with on the way there.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was a hysterical phone call with Colin.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so weird. I don't like. Yeah, it's such a blur. Like I don't even.
No, it kind of fades together after.
Yeah, it does. So you heard me talking to him on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything. I just remember everything happening super fast for me.
Yeah. And then we got to the hospital, and then you got to witness. Obviously, Libby had died, so we were all in shock, completely in shock at that point. It was like it hadn't even. It sunk in, but not really. Like it didn't make sense. That's a great way to explain it. And then we had to deal with Max, which now we can laugh about. And at the time, we actually did sort of laugh about it then.
There was a little ray of something there.
Yeah. And you've heard me talk about this before if you've watched the show at all, but his memory was on a 30-second delay. And he couldn't remember anything you said after 30 seconds.
No, it was ridiculous.
So it was bizarre. It wasn't it like.
No, he was on a loop. Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing. Like I had no idea the brain could actually do that. It was very strange. Yeah. But then we just stayed at the hospital with him. So let's go to like the next couple weeks, like those early days of loss. How were you feeling? Like, how did you cope with things?
So honestly, the first couple days were kind of confusing. I wasn't really sure what was going on, your day-to-day life changes so much that you don't even, for me anyway, I didn't even notice what it was supposed to be like. It kind of changed everything right away and made it seem like nothing was different at the same time. But for the first, week or so, I'd say I literally wasn't doing anything. I was probably just sitting in my room on my phone, which didn't help, didn't do anything good for me, but I took the time on my own to try to help understand and make everything more permanent for myself. And I think that did help.
Yeah. And I would say out of all of us, because at the time it was a weird situation. Because we had Max at home recovering from his head injury, and he was all like cut up and bruised and stuff. So we're focused on him healing, and Libby's gone. And then we have my ex-husband, David, my first husband, Libby's dad, who was staying there at our house. And my second husband was there as well. And it was this very bizarre kind of family dynamic where we're all just kind of like, what the hell just happened? And I do remember you just kind of retreating.
Yeah.
And we should explain to people. So when Libby died, you were 16.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now almost 19. Too many men. Yes. Anyway, said too many men. Yes, that is how it always is for me now. And honestly, it makes losing Libby very difficult. Libby was my other girl. Like, she was my girl. She did the girly things with me and talked about stuff other than video games and stuff like that. So yeah, it was rough. So we were all there together, kind of like, and we tried to I remember trying to do things together. Like, I remember we tried to play board game. I mean, we did. We played board games. We, got food together. We went to the movies and went out to eat together. And it was just trying to figure out how to survive. And it just seems surreal looking back at it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a crazy time in the house. I'm living with my dad, who I haven't lived with in 4 years. I'm living with my mom and my other dad. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you were saying, you guys were very, very supportive immediately after. I knew you guys were there for me and whatnot like that.
Oh, that makes me feel good.
You guys, yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, we tried to be, but it was, you never know, because it's
no, that
you don't know what the hell
was
you're
on
doing.
me. I was retreating. I personally, with anything besides grief, I'm still a very on my own kind of person.
Yeah.
I prefer to kind of process on my own stuff like that. But no, I felt, very comforted in the days and weeks after, you know, I
Good.
felt like there was, you could feel the love in the house, you know, or sometimes the lack thereof, you know. But
So you could feel the weirdness, but
yeah,
good. Well, good, because there was.
and yeah, it's not that, at least in my experience, it's not that I was scared to reach out or whatnot. It's purely a personal choice that it helped me cope better to just be on my own and kind of deal with it, you know.
Do you think, and I don't want you to feel like you have to speak for all teenagers, but do you think that that's kind of like a typical teenage boy kind of thing?
Yeah.
I'm asking because I know I've had people who have reached out to me asking how you react because they have teens themselves and they're worried because their, teenage boys aren't don't seem to be talking to anyone, don't want to reach out. Like the parents try to comfort them and they're just not interested in the comfort. Do you think that's like a typical thing?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, absolutely it is. My thinking for at least the first couple days is I wanted to be out of your guys' hair as, much as possible. And whether that logic is flawed because they lost one child and now their other child stepping away from them, that doesn't make sense. And I was, it didn't make sense on my part. However, I knew that the support was there and I appreciated that, but I chose to just do it.
Yeah.
On my own.
Well, I remember trying to talk to you and you were just sort of like,
you can't.
Like, no, like you did not want to talk.
No, you can't really force it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
If you have someone out there and they don't want to talk to you, like, you can't do a whole lot about that. People have to come to you for help or open up to you for help. If they seem okay, they're saying, I'm talking to my friends, they have certain support systems. If you're checking in on that, I think you're doing more than enough. I've felt anyway.
Sweet. That's good to know. Because I remember from my point of view as a mom, like I did want to make sure you were okay. And I remember trying to talk to you and I remember you just like shutting down and I was super worried that you were shutting down. And I remember I can't remember how long it was after Libby died. It was pretty close afterwards that I remember I just came in and you were laying on your bed on your phone. And I remember laying down next to you and I just like hung out there. I was like, I'm just going to lay here for a little bit because I just wanted you to know, like, I'm here if you need me, even if you don't want to talk. And then we just like laid there for a little bit. And I was like, okay, if you need anything, let me know. But you never really did like we never really had any like big, huge discussions about it, I would say at first. And I tried, okay, if you don't want to talk about this, that's okay. But I was very concerned because obviously it was something very traumatic. I tried to get Grayson to go to therapy and we tried multiple therapists.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
And nothing stuck and he hated it. And I was convinced that he needed to see a therapist. And he kept saying, it's not helping. And I kept trying to make deals with you. What is it like if you go 3 times and you show up for 3 appointments and you still don't like it, then we'll try someone new or then you can stop. And it was just like pulling teeth because I'm like, I got to get him support. And you were just not interested. Like, what was it about therapy that you didn't like or that you didn't think was helpful? Just because I am sure there are other teenagers that like probably feel the same way.
That don't even like therapy. And
so because for me it was super helpful, but why wasn't it helpful for you?
It's not that I'm a closed off person. I like to consider myself an open person. However, I don't get a lot of gratification, relief or anything like that from venting. And I'm a very logical person. I feel that I'm in tune with my emotions pretty well. And so anytime I went to a therapist, it was kind of like they were just repeating to me stuff I already like knew on a deeper level. And I'm sure absolutely that helps for people. Like some people do need that reassurance, just someone telling them like, hey, this is valid. Your thought processes are okay. It's okay to do this and that and that. But I just personally, I feel that I'm already making those steps, you know, I'm making those steps in logic. And so having someone else that didn't know my situation and didn't have all the information try to put input on my life, it not rubbed me the wrong way, but I didn't find it helpful at all.
Okay. Yeah, because we tried. I mean,
Yeah.
God knows we tried. Several people, and nope, you were just not having it. Okay, so where would you say your support came from? Like, how did you get through? What helped you?
Obviously family. Family was a big support, you know, the family that you still have left, all of that. Oh, sorry. All of that. But for me anyway, and that's what I'm hoping for a lot of these teen kids that you're talking about with who are experiencing this, is friends are such an incredible, like, important support, especially at our age. We care greatly what they think. A lot of times more influence us than our parents kind of at times, you know. And so to have really good people around me, the genuine people around me that, you know, helped me talk through it, said, hey, I hope you're okay, you know, just little stuff. There was an incredible outpour of support from the whole community. It was ridiculous at the school. And so, yeah, it kind of just helped me realize all the appreciation, all the love that was there beforehand.
Yeah, for the parents out there, that was one thing that made me feel much better, because I had no idea that you were talking to your friends about it. Like, from my perspective, it seemed like you were completely shutting down and just spending like hours on your phone, laying in your bed. And I'm like, oh my God, like, he's just shoving this all down to his toes. And then at one point, I mean, it was like months and months later, but at one point you made a comment just in passing about how you were talking to one of your friends about it the other day. And it was just that light bulb moment, like, oh, okay. So you are talking to someone. Like, I had no idea about it, but it was just so comforting to hear, like, that you are sharing how you feel with some, even if it wasn't me and it wasn't a therapist. Like you said, friends are so important. And I'm like, oh, thank God that he is like, just, he has someone that is there that he can talk to, that is supportive. So, and I think, yeah, I mean, teaching middle school, I see the same thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's, those years are an age when you don't really want to listen. Like, I never felt like you didn't appreciate me, and I felt like you knew I was there for you. You were just, I was not the person.
Listen,
whether you loved me or not, I was not the person that you wanted to sit down and have those conversations.
Your parents are not going to be the coolest people in your lives. Like, they could be, and you don't know it, but you're not going to think that way, you know? Immediately after high school, I like to think our relationship got a little better.
It did.
And whatnot. And just during that, I couldn't tell you what it is, just being a feral teenager or something. But yeah, I prioritized almost everything else above family, and this did kind of reset that a little bit. But it's not wrong if your kids are doing that. If they're not talking to you, that's okay. Just check in, make sure that they're getting support somewhere else at least.
Yeah, that's important. Okay, so let's sort of move forward a little bit. So now it's been, you know, over 2 years. How would you say you're doing now with your grief?
I like to think I'm doing well. It's not that it ever goes away. There's not a day you don't think about it, you know. But I'm trying to think of how to word this.
Okay.
I think the way that you perceive the emotions you have changes. For me, I had Well, I don't know if there's another question on this or whatever.
That's okay.
I had a kind of a big breakthrough moment personally, just a random night. I think it was about a month and a half after the actual accident. But I was upset, crying just at home in the basement, just not really knowing what to do, just upset. And I decided I was going to try to figure out, what these feelings are, what they were. And in my opinion, every feeling you have of loss, grief, anything like that, even just missing someone when you're saying goodbye, if you're going to see them again, if they walk into the other room, every emotion you have towards other people is out of love for something, and so even if you hate someone else, it's probably out of a love for yourself, wanting to protect your own peace and whatnot. And if you're missing someone, it's because you love them enough. And that kind of helps with the guilt of maybe not showing enough love while they're here, while they're alive. Is no one deserves the pain that grief is. And so you are already showing an overwhelming amount of love back.
That is so true. Did you have, and that just kind of reminds me of something that was very profound, by the way. Sorry, I'm annoying. I love you. So did you have, because we always kind of speculate that maybe you had an issue with survivor's guilt because you were supposed to be in the car and you would have been sitting in that seat because that was where you sat, and Libby sat in the back and she moved up front because you weren't there. Do you feel that at all? Like, is that something that you think about, or are we just kind of imagining that in our heads?
No, that's absolutely real. Immediately after I found out what happened, it's off to the races with what ifs.
Oh,
it's
so true.
An incredible amount of what ifs. You're going down the whole butterfly effect. What if I didn't eat that last week? We might not have left at the same time today and they would have been all right. It's unrealistic. It's not fair to yourself to do that. Most things that happen in this world are out of your control. And I don't know. I think the culmination of everything we've gone through to get to exactly where we're at now is gorgeous, no matter where you're at. And so looking back now, I don't think realistically I could change, I would change anything that went on.
Yeah. Good. That's super healthy.
Yeah. Immediately after, definitely. You just think, what could I have done different? But you couldn't have done anything different.
I'm glad that the way it did. As time passed, you were able to work through that in your head, because that's so true. There's like your dad and I did that with, what if we wouldn't have gotten divorced, and they wouldn't have been driving to his house, and you can what if yourself crazy if you let yourself. So
it will drive you crazy. You shouldn't do it. It's not fair to yourself.
Yeah. How does this kind of changing topics a bit, but how do you feel about what I do and like all of the grief stuff and talking about Libby all the time? You can be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, people wonder how you guys feel about what I do.
Obviously, you're my mom. I'll support you. I don't know. This was not your first endeavor. There was the whole other things we did before, the blended mess, whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was supportive of those. I'd like to think, at least in the idea stage. I think it's really cool. I think it's really, really cool what you're doing. If you can help, even just a couple people, I think that can have a more profound impact than a lot of people understand. I think it's good. Yeah, I think you're doing a very, very good thing.
You think I'm a dork on YouTube, like a middle-aged mom on YouTube?
A little bit. That's okay.
It's okay. It's keeping it real.
I'm not your target audience. Yeah, I don't know. I've gotten, just some people that I know being like, "Hey, is this you on Facebook?" But it's pretty cool. I like everything that you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Okay, we have Grayson. You are an amazing young man. Thank you for being so open. I'm sure you are helping so many people by sharing what it's been like for you.
Thank you.
That is very sweet. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Because like I said, this is probably the most we've sat down and actually talked about this.
It is.
In front of a ton of people.
And this is the discussion.
This is it, because you never really wanted to have these discussions, and we always sort of honored that. But it is a worry as a parent.
Yeah, and I appreciate you honoring that thus far. And not that you forced me to come here or anything. I was finally.
Oh, I've been asking for a while, and it took a while, and I laid off, and then he was like, "All right, I'll do it." Yeah, so no, I appreciate it very much.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it takes a lot, especially someone your age, to be sitting here talking about all this stuff when I know it's not a comfortable.
It's not comfortable, but you know what? There's no way to avoid it in my day-to-day life. It's not that it comes up every day with my friends or everything like that, but it comes up. I get in a car almost every day. Like I gotta, you gotta think about it.
Can we talk about that?
We can.
I wasn't even gonna bring it up, but that sort of brought it up. So Grayson does not have his driver's license yet.
Got a permit.
And why don't we talk about that a little bit? Because that has impacted you, right? The accident has impacted you.
Yeah.
Wanting to drive.
I didn't think it would. I thought I'd be perfectly fine with cars after. I didn't even think anything of it, getting in the car right after I heard the news, a car crash wasn't something that had happened to me, I'd been in minor ones. It all turned out fine. I knew it could get serious, but it finally happened to me, it directly affected me. And on some subconscious level, that definitely shook me up a significant amount. I was learning how to drive at that time.
Yeah. And at the time you were like very, very anxious to drive.
I was an anxious driver before all that happened.
Well, I meant like you wanted to get your license. Like we went right away when he turned 16. We were getting the permit, and you were in the car, and you were driving back and forth to work with me. You know what I mean? Like
I was on track. Yeah.
You were doing the thing to get your license, and then after the accident, it was like woo, like pumping the brakes on that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, why it caused a significant amount of anxiety or stress when I'm behind the wheel. But even just when I'm not the one driving, I'm conscious. I'm not on my phone a whole lot anymore when I'm in the car. I used to be locked into the iPad as a kid.
Yeah, true.
But I got to stare forward. I got to be looking at the road now. It's just something I got to deal with on the daily. I have to be smarter than myself and kind of be aware of it when I'm in the car. And it definitely makes things tough, but it's not unbeatable. It's not that I can't drive. It's just something I have to eventually figure out.
We're working on it. There was a little bit where Grayson did not want to drive at all, and now you just drove us somewhere the other day. So we're getting there. Mm-hmm. Baby steps. Yes. So this is just kind of like a mind over matter thing, like just kind of
absolutely
saying,
I knew it immediately right after the accident. I was like, I'm gonna have to drive at some point. It's a little tough in this world anyway to be successful without doing that.
When you live where we do, like in suburbia, and you have to drive everywhere you go. The river. Yeah. How you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but how would you say losing Libby has impacted your overall outlook on life? Like, has it made you think about anything differently? Is there anything, any mindset changes that you have now?
You know what? Overall, I like to think that I have a more positive outlook on life in general. And that's what I don't know, I encourage people who are going through loss to see the beauty in just the cycle of everything. However, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. Like any mindset shifts, like how has it
okay.
changed your outlook on life? Like for me, I know something our family does is we were always very good, I would say, about like giving each other a hug and saying I love you, and like me with tucking you in every night. Like we were always very close that way. But I mean, now it's like always I love you before you go and that kind of stuff. So is there anything like that for you where it's kind of changed the way you look at things or the way you do things?
Yeah, okay. So absolutely it has. Like I was saying earlier, it kind of just made me understand the basis of where a lot of my emotions and stuff come from. A lot of what I think are, the biggest feelings you can have and stuff. I do think a lot of them come from love, and just a want for happiness, And I think, I don't know, I was not a very emotional person beforehand. I will say that. It definitely has made me more in tune with my emotions. And I think it just, helped me kind of understand where everything was coming from. And then it's out of overwhelming love for everything around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of like life is short? Like we don't know how long we have.
Absolutely. My personal outlook on everything is it's all gorgeous. It's all part of life. Even if you don't reach your full potential, whatever. I think whatever you do in life is the journey that you were on. I think it's what you were supposed to do. I don't think you're doing any more or any less than you're supposed to at any given time. It kind of just, it made me take a more positive outlook on life because I was feeling so overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah.
It kind of just reversed everything after a certain point. I hit a point where it just flipped.
That's cool.
No.
Interesting. All right. Is there anything else you want to share with us, or does anyone else have any questions out there for Grayson? You're going to hate this one. Sorry. I'm going to throw it up there. So nice to see Grayson. Really have to say he's a picture of David, and so is the way he speaks and his body language. Happy to see him. He hates that. But thank you, Ruth. It's very sweet, and it is a compliment.
He's a cool guy.
But yeah.
No,
everybody says that, and he's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I encourage anyone who's going through loss to take a look at their feelings, take a look at anything they're going through, and try to understand that it's all coming from a place of love and understanding.
Very true.
Support your kids as much as you can, but you can't smother them. You can only do so much. They'll figure it out.
That is good advice. It's so hard as a parent, though.
No,
it is really hard.
But you got to understand from the kid's point of view, you're dealing with the same thing on top of your parents are acting a little crazy right now. They're definitely behaving different than before. If they're, being all lovey-dovey on you now, like extra and whatnot, it can throw you off, weird you out. That's normal. It's okay. Just take it slow. You can't pressure anyone into.
So don't push
into relieving.
So
it's okay to push. It's okay to let them know you're there.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it best just to let you know that we're there for you if you need us and that we love you, and then sort of back off, or do we push more? Like we try to get you to talk about things and.
To a certain degree, I think it's going to be different for every kid, whether or not I understood where you guys were coming from. I understood all you guys wanted to do was help, and this immense loss that you're going through of a child. Like what I am to you guys is terrible. And it's tough for a kid to be dealing with that on their own, trying to support their parents at the same time, but trying not to make themselves uncomfortable. It's a weird little balance. It's tough, but I think as long as you show your kids that you're there for them truly, then that's what matters, and they will come to you if they need it.
Yeah. Agreed. Cool. All right. Feeling like I didn't screw up too bad.
That was my first podcast.
That was great. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I seriously appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
This was good for everyone out there that has a teen that's grieving, or any child that doesn't seem like they want to share how they're feeling. It was good for me as a mom. I love you, kid.
Love you too.
Thanks. All right.
Drink milk.
Drink milk, yeah. Or almond milk if you don't like regular milk.
It's all right.
Anyway, just not tea. All right. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're catching this on the replay, feel free to leave comments if you have any comments or questions for me or Grayson, and we will try to answer them for you if we can. We appreciate you tuning in. Just a shameless plug for my book. Oh, wait, where are the copies?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, can you grab one?
Let me go grab
So my book, Grief Sucks, But Your Life Doesn't Have to, is available for pre-order now. The ebook. Oh, thanks.
So cool.
It is. So the paperback copies, which I just got yesterday, are going to be available April 2nd. So if you head to wherever you buy books on April 2nd, you can find my book there. And hopefully if you're grieving, it will help. And we got 2 more comments. Honey, so proud of both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you look so pretty on the cover. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I was wearing a lot of, they keep making fun of me because I'm wearing so much makeup.
Put that on bed.
Yes. So David and Max just laugh hysterically anytime they see any of the pictures because I am just caked in makeup. They're like, it doesn't even look like you. Yes, it does. Anyway, thank you. I really appreciate that. So Grief Sucks, But Your Life Doesn't Have to. April 2nd is the release date. And as always, if you guys have suggestions of people you would like me to talk to or interview or any topics you want me to cover, I'm always happy to listen to those and take your suggestions. This show is for you guys, so let me know what you want to hear. And that is all for this week. We will be back another week, and maybe you can come visit us again sometime.
Absolutely, I will be back.
Was it as bad as you thought?
No, it was fun.
All right. See, you did a great job. I appreciate it. All right. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Adios.